Hello, this is a video on vocabulary and notation for points, lines, and planes. Please have your worksheet with you as we take notes for this video. The first three terms that we have are undefined terms. That means that as mathematicians, we will just know what these words mean, but we're going to start with simple descriptions and notation for these words. The first term, point. A point has no dimension. Now, even though when we draw a point, it appears to have dimension, that's only because of our pen tip or pencil forcing a dimension. But truly, a point has no dimension. It is represented by a small dot and a capital letter. This would be point A. The next term is a line. A line has one dimension, and it extends without end in two directions. A line is noted with, well, let me draw a picture. Let's see. This we can call C, D, and we can call this line L because I've put a script or a cursive lowercase l, or we will use this notation of a line with two arrows, and we will use two of the points that are on this line. This line contains an infinite number of points. I just have not labeled them. The only 2 points I've chosen to label are points C and D. So I will use them to write a notation for this as line CD. A plane. A plane has 2 dimensions, and it's usually drawn with a shape that looks like a floor or a wall. Okay, so that's how it's drawn. And you actually have to imagine that it extends without end in all directions. So we can draw a plane. Like I said, it usually looks like a floor or a rectangle of sorts, or a ceiling, a wall, a floor, something like this. And we can label it a couple ways. You will see a capital letter written in the corner, and I would call this plane M. This is not a point. It's not a point unless there's a dot on the plane. And this would be A, B, or C. So there are many points in this plane, and I can call this plane M, or we can call this plane, and we will have to choose 3 points, plane A, B, C. So the different ways to name a plane are just plane M with the letter that's written in the corner, or plane ABC by choosing 3 points from the plane. Those are our undefined terms. When you go to the next box on your worksheet, we're going to talk about these defined terms, but we had to know the other ones first. Collinear points. The prefix co, which you'll see on all 3 of these vocabulary words, means together. Linear talks about line, so we're saying they're together on a line, and that is exactly the definition. These are points on the same line. So if we draw a picture, I can put a few points. I'll throw you off there. I'll put an X. So A, B, X. I would say that A and B are collinear. I could say A and X are collinear. I could say that A, B, and X are collinear points. These are 3 points on the same line. Coplanar. So together on the same plane. We're talking about points that are on the same plane. So we're going to draw a plane, and we're going to put some points on there. And I could say in any arrangement that A, B, and C are on the same plane. They're coplanar. That A, D, and C are coplanar. And when we do this, we name coplanar points, we will name 3 points. Okay? Coplanar lines. Here we're talking about 2 lines that are in the same plane. So if we draw up the lines in the same plane. I'm going to use our previous example here, our previous diagram, and I'm just going to draw some lines through these points. So we would say, based on my new diagram, that AC, line AC, and line AD, please note I'm using the notation of a line, are coplanar. Okay, so line AC and line AD are coplanar. They are in the same plane. The next 2 words go together. They are segment and endpoints. They go together because their definition, the definition of segment, involves the definition of endpoint. So I'm going to actually define segment, and then we're going to work backwards through endpoint. Segment consists of 2 endpoints and all points between the endpoints. And my diagram might help this one. So I'm going to put 2 points. These are endpoints, kind of like bookends. And we're going to have to label those. So let's say G and H. And this is a segment that we would write GH. I'm going to use the endpoints to determine it. That does not mean that there are no other points. Of course there's more points on here. There's a point I, there's a point W, there's all sorts of points on here, X, and all of the points on this segment have to fall between G and H. This makes it a segment. Well, endpoints are the points at the end. So these are the endpoints of segment GH. Our next vocabulary word is ray. Again, I'm going to start with a little definition and we'll work through it. So if I were to say ray AB consists of endpoint A and all points on line AB on the same side of A as B. Boy, that's confusing. Well, I'm going to start by drawing an endpoint A, because that's what it says we have, endpoint A. I'm going to draw a line in one direction, and we're going to put B out there, because B is somewhere out there. And what it says is we actually have a line that goes all the way through this and goes on forever in both directions. But if we're talking about ray AB, then I'm actually talking about starting at endpoint A and only in the direction of B. So that's what this means as the same side of A as B. So if I'm talking about the ray, we're starting at A and we're going all the way to B. That doesn't mean there aren't points over here. There are tons of points on this side, but they are not part of ray AB. So we would call this ray AB. I'm going to give you another picture. This time the ray looks like it's going in the other direction. I'm going to call this C and D. This ray would actually be named starting with the end point, D, and saying go towards C. So even though the alphabet would tell you that C comes before D, and even the way it looks in the diagram, C looks like it's in front of D, we have to begin naming it with the end point. Just like we did up here with A, we began with A and it went towards B. All right. On the back of the worksheet, there's some problems for you to try that helps you work through some of the vocabulary and some of the notation that we learned in this video lesson. So go ahead and turn over the worksheet and work on that.